All right, let's dive right into this video where we are unpacking a really high-octane text called the Sovereignty Matrix, Reclaiming the Human Ledger. This thing makes a wild argument. It claims that the screens we stare at all day, the feeds we constantly scroll through, they aren't just tools. They're actually an invisible architecture actively enclosing the human mind. Over the next few minutes, we're going to break down exactly how this text says your attention is being harvested, and more importantly, the actionable steps it gives to break out of it. We're keeping the energy high, so let's get right to it.
Now, when you look at the sheer scale of big tech today, this massive, automated panopticon that literally prunes our memories and shapes our networks, the source actually admits that it's super easy to just feel defeated. I mean, it feels like you're up against an absolute wall of code, right? You look at your perfectly curated feed and you gotta wonder, is the game already rigged? Are my choices even mine? Or am I just executing pre-compiled code that some server farm predicted I would? The text leans right into this, acknowledging that the whole thing can feel totally predetermined.
It describes this system as a multi-trillion-dollar machine designed to do one thing: enclose the human mind. But here is the massive twist the authors offer. The very existence of this gargantuan apparatus, it actually reveals a quiet, kind of desperate truth. Think about it. Tech cartels wouldn't be spending trillions of dollars trying to capture your agency if your agency wasn't the most powerful force on the planet. The authors argue these systems are actually terrified of your inherent sovereignty and free will. They need to enclose your mind because an independent mind is literally the one thing they can't control without your permission.
Section 1. The Invisible Architecture. To start reclaiming that free will, the text says we have to completely shift our perspective. We have to stop treating the walls of this matrix like they're just natural laws of the universe. Because those clean, frictionless software interfaces we use every single day, they present themselves as objective, basic utilities of modern life. But the text insists they are absolutely not natural. They're highly compiled, deeply intentional code, designed specifically to isolate and manage you.
The software basically wants you to believe that letting AI proxies make your choices, blindly accepting autocomplete, checking those infinite push notifications, is just the only way to function in society today. But the text throws a major curveball here. It posits that this entire massive system relies on one single vital fuel to keep running, and that fuel, it's your uncritical participation. If you just passively accept the feed, the machine runs perfectly. You essentially become the raw material keeping the engine churning.
Section 2, the crack in the interface. So if your uncritical participation is the fuel, what happens when you just stop participating on their terms? Well, the text reveals a structural path to break this algorithmic loop by exposing vulnerabilities in that slick, frictionless architecture.
And the ultimate weapon here is what they call predictive noise. It's basically the systematic introduction of intentional friction into your digital footprint. Think of it like throwing a handful of sand into a highly calibrated gear. By just refusing to execute the behaviors they've pre-calculated for you, you introduce noise. And the second the platform can no longer forecast your next move, boom, its financial derivatives, which rely entirely on predicting your behavior, lose their guarantee. You completely scramble their radar.
This actually builds into a really actionable playbook for taking back your cognitive focus. Step 1. Use privacy-oriented routing. Step 2. Actively, intentionally ignore the curated feeds they try to spoon-feed you. And Step 3. Seek out physical, analog records. According to the source, doing this puts you back in the driver's seat. The text argues that by following this protocol, you shift from being a highly predictable, easily tradable asset on a server right back into a sovereign, erratic, unpredictable human being.
Section 3. Rebuilding the third place. Now, introducing digital friction is a great start, but it's just step 1. To escape the digital enclosure entirely, the source outlines something way bigger. It's about moving the battlefield off the screen and bringing it back into the real, physical world. The authors argue that the ultimate threat to this cognitive cartel isn't a better app. No, it's a physical, decentralized community. The authors draw a really stark contrast here. On one side, you have the tech industry's ultimate goal, trapping us in a synthetic loop. This means relying on corporate-owned servers to mediate your relationships, settling for virtual companionships, and basically living on automated feedback. But on the other side is the antidote, the physical anchor. We're talking face-to-face conversations, direct mutual reliance, actual physical reality. The text argues the system is designed to isolate you in that synthetic loop, so the only real way out is dropping a massive, heavy physical anchor. So how do you actually drop that anchor? The source gives a few really specific directives. Build independent news circles. Utilize analog libraries.
foster face-to-face community forums. And the why behind this is brilliant. You literally cannot shadow ban a face-to-face conversation in a coffee shop. You can't algorithmically prune a physical archive sitting in a library. By building these decentralized physical networks, you starve the attention economy of its raw materials and render their synthetic consensus engines totally useless. Section 4. Claiming the sovereign ledger. Getting physically grounded prepares us for what the source calls the macroeconomic battle of our generation. The text asserts that this modern war isn't being fought over physical land or oil. It's a war over the ownership of human logic and attention. The tech cartels, they argue, essentially want to lease your own vocabulary, your memories, and your choices back to you under a digital subscription model.
And against that, the source defines a powerful counter-identity, the sovereign individual. To the author, sovereignty isn't something that can just be leased to you by a tech company. It has to be actively, independently claimed. A sovereign individual deliberately manages their own cognitive boundaries. They don't just outsource their thinking to an AI prompt. They reclaim the very tools of human expression from automated servers, taking total ownership of their own mental ledger.
The text breaks down exactly how to make this shift. Leasing sovereignty means accepting a sanitized consensus driven by AI biases and bot networks, just letting your destiny be calculated by some server farm out in the desert. Claiming sovereignty, on the other hand, means writing your own original sentences. It means researching history from primary physical sources and completely rejecting the bots. The authors passionately argue that the true sovereign ledger isn't a piece of software hosted in California. It's the independent, unyielding human spirit.
Section 5. The code is broken. As we reach the final analysis, the text hits us with a reality check. Don't be naive. The platforms are going to keep updating, the AI proxies will keep optimizing, and those feedback loops will endlessly try to pull at your attention to drag you right back into that synthetic loop.
The machine is running. It is relentless, and it is fully automated. It never, ever sleeps. But despite all of this relentless automation, the source insists on one really empowering truth. The power to shut down the interface was in your hands all along. You just have to make the choice to use it. The moment you step into physical reality, utilize analog spaces, and introduce that intentional, predictive noise we talked about, the data blocks are finally laid bare. The final entry in their system is made, and suddenly, the game stops being played on their terms.
Because of your intentional friction, the algorithm simply cannot guess your next move. The prediction has failed. Those synthetic consensus engines, the ones designed to perfectly map and manage human behavior, they are rendered entirely useless, just by your simple refusal to be a predictable, tradable asset.
The code is broken. According to this source, the ledger of your own mind is finally yours to control. The matrix gets shattered not by some crazy, complex counter-hack, but just by the quiet reassertion of human independence. The ledger is open. Which leaves us with a really high-stakes question for you to chew on as you finish this video and go about your day. As you navigate that constant friction between your digital feed and your physical reality, will you close the interface and claim your sovereign ledger today? Are you going to be a predictable asset or an unyielding human spirit? Thanks for hanging out with us for this video, and we'll catch you in the next one.